You are on HOA Karen Patrol. The doorbell clip ended the witch hunt. Karen shouted that if I asked for footage again, she would charge me for records. You think this is petty? I think this is my job, she yelled, slamming her hand on the counter hard enough to rattle the pen cup. I stood there in the Cedar Springs Homeowners Association Management Office lobby in Spokane, Washington, holding my phone with the neighborhood chat thread pulled up, watching Evelyn Reed lose her mind over a simple request. She was the board secretary, a middle-aged white woman with dark blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a tan puffer vest even though it was barely 50 degrees outside, and she had this portable thermal printer clipped to her belt like she was running a traffic stop. I teach high school history, and I have seen teenagers throw better tantrums. She tapped the plastic badge clipped to her vest pocket. I will escalate this immediately, she said, her voice tight and sharp. The badge was one of those laminated HOA volunteer tags that looked like it came from an office supply store, but she treated it like a federal shield. I had been asking for doorbell camera footage from the mailbox cluster area because a container of spare gate fobs had gone missing from the clubhouse storage closet 2 weeks ago. And suddenly, everyone in the neighborhood chat was talking about how someone was running a side hustle selling access. Evelyn had posted a vague message implying it was me, complete with a screenshot of a torn mailer that had shown up near my trash bins. The mailer had no return address and no contents, but she claimed it was evidence I had been receiving stolen goods. I need to see the footage from the 14th, I said, keeping my voice level. The management office has a camera pointing at the mailbox cluster. That is a common area. I have a right to request records. She pulled out a clear sleeve clipboard with a printed policy sheet inside and held it up like a shield. The date box in the top corner was highlighted in yellow marker, but the text was too small to read from where I stood. The rules changed yesterday, she said. You should have known. We sent an email. Residents now have to submit a written request with a reason and wait 5 business days for review. If you ask again today, I will charge you for harassment of staff. That was the first time she moved the goalpost. I had checked the resident portal 3 days ago, and the records request procedure was straightforward. Ask at the desk, fill out a form, get the footage within 48 hours. Now she was telling me the rules had changed overnight, and I should have magically known. I pulled up my email on my phone and scrolled back a week. No email. Nothing. She watched me with this smug little smile, tapping her badge again. Your timeline is irrelevant, she said. The board votes on policy updates, and they go into effect immediately. If you have a problem, you can file a complaint, but that also requires a written submission and a $15 processing fee. I could feel my jaw tightening. The missing fobs were worth maybe $60 total, but the implication that I was stealing from the HOA and flipping access codes was tanking my reputation in the neighborhood. People I had waved to for 2 years were suddenly crossing the street. Someone had keyed my car 3 nights ago. I was not sleeping because every time my phone buzzed after 9 at night, it was another passive-aggressive post in the neighborhood chat with Evelyn leading the charge. The management office walk-in hours ended in 30 minutes, and if I left now without the footage, I would have to wait until Monday to even submit the written request. Fine, I said. I will fill out the form. Where is it? She pulled a sheet from a drawer and slid it across the counter, then pointed to a line halfway down. You need the board secretary's signature, she said. That is me. I will review your request and decide if it meets the threshold for access. If I determine it does not, you will be notified by mail within 10 business days. I stared at the form. She was the gatekeeper for her own accusation. If I submitted a request to prove I did not steal the fobs, she could just deny it, and I would have no recourse except to wait another 2 weeks and try again. I took a picture of the form with my phone, then started filling it out by hand while she watched. She pulled out her thermal printer, loaded a roll of paper, and printed something on the spot. She slid the fresh printout across the counter. "This is a notice of potential violation," she said. "You are being investigated for unauthorized resale of HOA property. Until the investigation concludes, you are not permitted to access the clubhouse, the gym, or the pool. If you are found on those premises, we will call the police for trespassing." I looked at the notice. It had today's date and her signature at the bottom, but no details about what evidence supported the investigation. "This is insane," I said. "You cannot ban me from common areas without proof." She tapped her badge again. "I will escalate this immediately if you continue to argue," she said. "The board has the authority to suspend access during an active investigation. If you want to dispute it, you can request a hearing, but that requires a written submission, a $50 deposit, and at least 3 weeks' notice." I felt my chest tightening. She was stacking barriers on top of barriers, every single one designed to run out the clock and make me look guilty by default. I signed the records request form and slid it back. She picked it up, glanced at it, and then put it in a folder without signing it. "I will review this and get back to you," she said. "You can go now." I did not move. "You did not sign it," I said. She looked at me like I had just asked her to solve a calculus problem. "I do not sign requests at the counter," she said. "I review them in private, and then sign, if they are approved. That is policy." I took another picture of her holding the unsigned form, and she noticed. Her face went red. "If you are recording me without consent, that is a violation of Washington state law," she said. "I am taking a picture of a public interaction in a common area office," I said. "That is not recording." She leaned forward. "You are harassing me," she said. "I am going to tell the property manager you are creating a hostile environment." She walked to the back office, and I heard her talking to someone in a low, urgent voice. A minute later, the property manager came out. He was a guy in his 50s with a cheap tie and a tired expression. He looked at me, then at Evelyn, then back at me. "Sir, I am going to have to ask you to leave," he said. "You are making our staff uncomfortable." I held up my phone with the pictures. "I am trying to submit a records request," I said. "She is refusing to process it, and she just banned me from common areas without evidence." He sighed. "If you have a complaint about staff conduct, you can submit it in writing," he said. "But right now, you need to leave, or I will call the police." I walked out. My hands were shaking. I sat in my car in the parking lot and pulled up the neighborhood chat. Evelyn had already posted a new message. "Just had to ask a resident to leave the management office for aggressive behavior. Please remember that our staff and volunteers deserve respect. If you have concerns, follow the proper channels. Do not harass people trying to do their job." 3 neighbors had already reacted with thumbs-up emojis. I started keeping a timeline in a notebook that night. I wrote down every interaction, every email, every post, every notice, with timestamps and screenshots. I printed everything and put it in a binder. If she was going to bury me in paper, I was going to bury her right back. The next morning, I got a text from my neighbor, 2 houses down. A guy named Marco, who did HVAC work and was generally friendly. "Hey man, Evelyn is telling people you have been stealing packages," he wrote. She showed me a picture of a torn mailer and said it had your address. Just wanted to give you a heads up. People are talking. I called him. What picture? I asked. He described it, a torn padded mailer with no label, sitting on the curb near my trash bins. She is saying it matches a missing package someone reported last month, he said. I do not know, man. It looks bad. I went outside and checked my trash bins. Nothing. I checked the curb. Nothing. I pulled up my doorbell camera app and scrolled back to the night she claimed the mailer appeared. At 11:42, a car pulled up, idled for a minute, and someone got out and tossed something near my bins. The camera angle was not great, but I could see it was a woman in a tan puffer vest. I saved the clip. Then, I went back to the management office. Different clerk at the desk this time, a younger woman who looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. I need to submit a complaint about Evelyn Reed, I said. She pulled out a form. Okay, she said. Fill this out, and there is a $15 processing fee. I filled it out and paid with a card. She scanned it and put it in a folder. Someone will get back to you within 30 days, she said. I asked if I could get a receipt. She printed one from the computer and handed it over. As I was walking out, Evelyn pulled into the parking lot. She saw me and got out of her car fast, holding her clipboard in the clear sleeve again. You are not supposed to be here, she said. You are banned from the office pending investigation. I am submitting a complaint, I said. That is my right. She held up the clipboard and tapped the highlighted date box. You waved that right when you harassed staff yesterday, she said. If you do not leave right now, I am calling the police. I left. I sat in my car again and called a friend who is a paralegal. She listened to the whole story and then said, You need to document everything, and you need to find out what she is actually doing. If she is framing you, she is doing it for a reason. People do not go this hard unless they are covering something up. I asked what I should do next. Get copies of the HOA financial records, she said. If fobs are missing and she is blaming you, check if there is a pattern. Also, check if anyone else has been accused. I went home and started going through the neighborhood chat history. Evelyn had accused 3 other people of various petty violations in the past 6 months. One guy supposedly left his trash bins out past the pickup window. Another couple supposedly had an unapproved fence stain color. A woman supposedly violated the noise ordinance by running her dryer after 10. In every case, Evelyn had posted a vague accusation, demanded immediate compliance, and then escalated to fines and access bans when people pushed back. In 2 cases, the accusations just disappeared after a few weeks with no explanation. I filed a public records request with the county for any police reports filed at Cedar Springs addresses in the past year. It cost me $20 and I had to wait 3 days, but when the report came back, it showed 2 theft reports filed at the clubhouse address, one for missing petty cash in March and one for missing cleaning supplies in June. Both reports listed Evelyn Reed as the reporting party. Both reports were marked closed, with no suspect identified. Then I went to the clubhouse during off hours and walked around the outside. The storage closet, where the fobs went missing, had a keyed lock, and the door was old enough that you could see light through the gap at the bottom. I knelt down and took a picture with my phone flash. Inside, I could see a row of plastic bins on a metal shelf, and one bin had a gap where something used to be. The gap was about the size of a shoebox. I went home and pulled up the resident portal on my laptop. Evelyn had admin access as board secretary, which meant she could post notices, upload documents, and manage resident accounts. I clicked through to the document archive and started downloading everything. Meeting minutes, financial summaries, violation notices, policy updates. I saved it all to a folder with the dates stamped in the file name. Then I checked my email again. Still no email about the rule change she claimed had gone out. That night, I got another text from Marco. "Evelyn is telling people you threatened her in the parking lot," he wrote. "She says she is filing a restraining order." I called him back. "I did not threaten anyone," I said. "I submitted a complaint form and left." He sighed. "I believe you, man, but she has got people worked up. She is saying you have been stealing from cars too. Someone supposedly saw you near the mailbox cluster at night." I felt my stomach drop. I had been to the mailbox cluster at night exactly once in the past 2 weeks, and that was to check my mail after getting home late from a parent-teacher conference. I pulled up my doorbell camera footage and found the timestamp, 10:15, last Thursday. I had walked to the mailbox cluster, grabbed my mail, and walked back. Total time, 4 minutes. The next morning, I got a certified letter. It was from the HOA attorney, a guy named Philip Crane, with a bland letterhead. The letter said I was being formally notified of an investigation into multiple violations, including theft of association property, harassment of staff, and creating a hostile environment. I was prohibited from accessing any common areas, attending board meetings, or communicating with board members until the investigation concluded. If I violated the ban, the association would pursue trespassing charges and financial penalties up to $5,000. I called my paralegal friend again. She told me to get an attorney consultation as soon as possible. I called a local real estate attorney and got an appointment for the next afternoon. The consult cost $200, but he walked me through my options. The HOA has broad authority, he said, but they cannot ban you from common areas without due process. If they are claiming theft, they need evidence. If they are claiming harassment, they need documentation of specific behavior. Right now, they are fishing. You need to force them to show their cards. He recommended I file a formal demand for records under Washington State HOA law, which gives residents the right to inspect financial records and meeting minutes within 5 business days. I drafted the demand letter that night, citing the statute and listing every document I wanted: financial records for the past year, meeting minutes, violation reports, vendor invoices, and security camera footage from the mailbox cluster for the past 30 days. I sent it certified mail to the management office and copied the HOA attorney. 3 days later, I got a call from the property manager. He sounded annoyed. "You are going to need to come in and review records during business hours," he said. "We are not making copies of everything you requested. That is going to cost you." I asked how much. He said $500 for labor and materials. I told him the statute does not allow them to charge more than actual costs and that inspection is supposed to be free. He hung up. I called the attorney back. He said the HOA was violating the statute and I could file a complaint with the state, but that would take months. The faster option was to show up during business hours with a witness and demand access on the spot. If they refuse, document it and file an injunction. I asked Marco if he would go with me. He agreed. We showed up at the management office on a Tuesday afternoon. The same tired property manager was at the desk. "I am here to inspect records," I said. "I sent a demand letter last week." He looked at Marco, then at me. "You need an appointment," he said. "I have a statutory right to inspect within 5 business days," I said. "Today is day 6. He sighed and went to the back office. A minute later, Evelyn came out. She was holding a tablet with a paused security video frame on the screen. The time bar at the bottom was visible, but unreadable. "You are not allowed to be here," she said. "This is harassment." I held up my phone and started recording. "I am exercising my statutory right to inspect HOA records," I said. "If you deny me access, you are violating state law." She turned to Marco. "You are my witness," she said. "He is threatening me." Marco looked uncomfortable, but did not say anything. She tapped her badge. "I will escalate this immediately," she said. She pulled out her phone and called someone on speaker. A woman's voice answered. Evelyn started talking fast. "I have a resident here who is banned from the office and he is refusing to leave," she said. "He is recording me without consent and he is making threats." The voice on the other end said something I could not hear clearly. Evelyn nodded. "Yes," she said. "I have documentation. I have video evidence. The time bar shows he was here after hours last week." She angled the tablet so the voice on the phone could supposedly see it, but the angle was wrong and the screen was facing away from me. Marco finally spoke up. "I am just here as a witness," he said. "I have not seen any threats." Evelyn glared at him. "You are interfering with an official investigation," she said. "I can have you removed too." Marco held up his hands. "I am just standing here," he said. She ended the call and turned back to me. "The board has decided to deny your records request pending the outcome of the investigation," she said. "You can appeal the decision in writing with a $100 deposit, and a hearing date will be scheduled within 60 days. I stopped recording. "You just violated state law on camera," I said. "I am filing an injunction tomorrow." She smiled. "Your timeline is irrelevant," she said. "We have video evidence that you were trespassing after hours, and we have witness statements that you have been stealing from vehicles. If you file anything, we will counterclaim for damages and legal fees." She held up the tablet again. "This footage shows you at the mailbox cluster at 11:30 last Tuesday night," she said. "That is after the amenity area closes at 10. You were not supposed to be there." I pulled out my phone and showed her my doorbell camera timestamp. "I was at the mailbox cluster at 10:15 last Thursday," I said. "Not Tuesday. Not 11:30. If your footage shows something different, it is either mislabeled or you are lying." She did not even look at my phone. "I will escalate this immediately," she said. "Get out or I am calling the police right now." We left. Marco was quiet until we got to the parking lot. "Man, she is out of control," he said. "That video thing was weird. She did not even let you see it." "I know," I said. "She is making it up as she goes." That night, I got a message in the neighborhood chat. Evelyn had posted a long statement. "Residents, I want to address a serious issue. We have had multiple thefts over the past few months, including missing fobs, petty cash, and personal packages. We have identified a suspect and are working with law enforcement. I cannot share details due to the ongoing investigation, but I want everyone to know we take security seriously. If you see suspicious activity, report it immediately. Do not confront anyone yourself. Let the board handle it." She included a grainy screenshot of someone standing near the mailbox cluster at night. The face was not visible, but the jacket was gray. My phone started buzzing. 3 neighbors texted me within 10 minutes. 2 asked if I was okay. 1 asked if the post was about me. I did not reply. I was too angry. The next morning, I filed an injunction in county court demanding access to the HOA records. It cost $350, and I had to write the brief myself using a template my attorney sent me. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. In the meantime, I kept documenting everything. Then I got lucky. A contractor who did landscaping work for the HOA called me. His name was Joe, and I had talked to him a few times when he was trimming the common area hedges. He said Evelyn had tried to drag him into the accusations. She asked me to sign a statement saying I saw you taking packages from the mailbox cluster, he said. I told her I never saw that, and she got mad. She said if I did not cooperate, she would make sure the HOA dropped our contract. I told her to go ahead. I am not signing a fake statement. He said he had pictures of text messages where Evelyn tried to pressure him, and he was willing to share them if I needed them. I asked if he would be willing to testify if it came to that. He said yes. I have been working HOAs for 15 years, he said. I have seen board members pull shady stuff before, but she is next level. She has been skimming petty cash for months. I have seen her take cleaning supplies from the clubhouse and load them in her car. I thought it was HOA business until I realized she was taking way more than any crew would need. I asked if he had any proof. He said he had timestamps and photos from his work log, but they were not super clear. It is enough to raise questions, though, he said. I added his contact info to my evidence binder and kept building the timeline. I pulled every financial summary from the resident portal and matched them against the meeting minutes. In March, the petty cash balance dropped by $300 with no explanation. In June, the cleaning supply budget went over by $250, and the meeting minutes said it was due to unexpected vendor costs, but there was no invoice attached. In August, the fobs went missing, and Evelyn immediately blamed me with no investigation. I started checking other neighborhoods online. Cedar Springs was part of a regional management company that ran about a dozen HOAs in the Spokane area. I found a local Facebook group for HOA complaints and posted a vague question. Has anyone had issues with board members accusing residents of theft without evidence? 3 people replied within an hour. One guy said his HOA treasurer had been caught embezzling and blamed it on a bookkeeping error. Another woman said her board president used to take furniture from the clubhouse and claim it was being donated. A third person said their property manager got fired for skimming maintenance fees. I started to see the pattern. Evelyn was not just power tripping. She was stealing and using her position to cover it up. Every time something went missing, she accused someone else and created a big enough distraction that no one looked at her. The injunction hearing was on a Friday morning. I showed up with my binder, my printed timeline, and copies of every email, text, and screenshot. The judge was a woman in her 60s who looked like she had heard 1,000 HOA disputes and was tired of all of them. The HOA attorney, Philip Crane, showed up in a cheap suit and tried to argue that I was a security risk, and the board had the right to restrict my access during an investigation. I presented my timeline and pointed out that Evelyn had moved the goalposts 3 times, denied my statutory records request, and posted false accusations in the neighborhood chat. The judge asked if the HOA had any evidence of theft. Crane said the investigation was ongoing. The judge asked if the HOA had filed a police report naming me as a suspect. Crane said no. The judge granted the injunction and ordered the HOA to provide full access to records within 3 business days. She also ordered them to lift the ban on common area access unless they could provide concrete evidence of a violation. Crane looked pissed. He tried to argue that the board had discretion to manage security, but the judge shut him down. Discretion does not mean you get to ignore state law, she said. If you have evidence of theft, file a police report. If you do not, stop treating this man like a criminal. I walked out feeling like I had just survived a car wreck. I went straight to the management office and submitted another records request, this time with a copy of the court order. The property manager looked at it and sighed. "Fine," he said. "You can review records Monday morning. Bring a laptop if you want to take notes. No photocopies unless you pay for them." Monday morning, I showed up with Marco again. The property manager led us to a back office and pointed at a stack of file boxes. "These are the financial records for the past year," he said. "Meeting minutes are in the binder on the desk. You have 2 hours." I started going through everything. The financial records were a mess. Half the invoices had no backup documentation. The petty cash log had entries with no signatures. The cleaning supply invoices were from a vendor I had never heard of, and when I Googled the name, the business address was a P.O. box in Spokane Valley. I took pictures of every page. Then I found the smoking gun. In the meeting minutes from July, there was a note that Evelyn had requested a reimbursement for clubhouse supplies she purchased out of pocket. The amount was $250. The attached receipt was from a home improvement store, but the itemized list did not match the supplies the HOA actually used. It was mostly household cleaning products, trash bags, and light bulbs. I checked the clubhouse inventory log, and none of those items were listed as received. I kept digging. In August, there was another reimbursement request for $65 for replacement gate fobs. The receipt was from a locksmith, but the work order number did not match any entry in the vendor log. I checked the fob inventory, and it showed 15 fobs missing as of mid-August, but the reimbursement was only for 5. The math did not add up unless Evelyn had pocketed the extras and sold them. I took pictures of everything and then asked the property manager if I could get copies of the vendor invoices for the cleaning supply company. He said it would cost me 50 cents a page. I paid $20 and got 40 pages of invoices. Every single one was signed by Evelyn as the receiving party. I Googled the vendor address again and found a website that looked like it had been built in 2005. The contact number went to voicemail. I left the office and went straight to the police department. I filed a report for fraud and theft, citing the financial records and the pattern of reimbursements with no backup. The deputy who took the report was a younger guy who seemed interested. He said they would investigate, but it could take a few weeks. He gave me an incident number and told me to follow up if I did not hear anything. That night, Evelyn posted another message in the neighborhood chat. Residents, I have been informed that a disgruntled individual is spreading false accusations about board members. This is defamation, and we will be pursuing legal action. If you receive any messages or documents making claims about financial impropriety, please forward them to the board immediately. Do not engage with this person. Let the board handle it. She included a screenshot of a legal letterhead with no readable text, just enough to make it look official. 3 neighbors texted me. One said Evelyn was out of control, and people were starting to ask questions. Another said she had been asking around about who went to the records review with me. A third said Evelyn had tried to get the property manager to lock me out of the resident portal, but he refused because of the court order. I spent the next 2 days building a side-by-side timeline. On the left side, I listed every theft or missing item reported in the HOA over the past year. On the right side, I listed every reimbursement request Evelyn had filed and every accusation she had made against other residents. The pattern was obvious. Every time something went missing, Evelyn filed a reimbursement within 2 weeks and blamed someone else within a month. I printed the timeline on 2 poster boards and laminated them at a copy shop. I also printed wallet-sized copies to hand out. The next HOA board meeting was scheduled for Thursday night. I was still technically banned from attending, but the court order said I could access common areas and the meeting was in the clubhouse. I showed up 10 minutes early with my poster boards and my evidence binder in a sealed bag. Marco came with me as a witness. About 20 residents were there, including Evelyn. She was sitting at the front table with her clipboard in the clear sleeve and her thermal printer on the chair next to her. When she saw me, she stood up fast. "You are not allowed to be here," she said. "This is a closed board meeting." I held up the court order. "Judge Martinez says I can be here," I said. "If you want to challenge that, call your attorney." She looked at the property manager. He shrugged. "The court order is valid," he said. "He can stay." She sat down and tapped her badge. "I will escalate this immediately," she said. The meeting started, and the board went through the usual agenda: landscaping updates, pool maintenance, a proposal to repaint the clubhouse trim. Then the board president, a guy named Tom, who always looked like he would rather be golfing, asked if there was any new business. I stood up. "I have new business," I said. "I want to present evidence of financial impropriety and theft by a board member." Evelyn shot to her feet. "This is out of order," she said. "You cannot make accusations without going through the proper complaint process." Tom looked confused. "What complaint process?" he asked. "I submitted a written complaint 3 weeks ago," I said. "I paid the processing fee. I never got a response." Tom looked at the property manager. "Did we get a complaint?" he asked. The property manager nodded. "It is in the file," he said. "We have not reviewed it yet." Evelyn jumped in. "That complaint is under investigation," she said. "It cannot be discussed in an open meeting." I held up the court order again. Judge Martinez ordered the HOA to provide access to records and to stop treating me like a suspect without evidence, I said. I reviewed the records and I found a pattern of theft and fraud. I unfolded the poster boards and held them up. On the left, I said, every reported theft or missing item in the past year. On the right, every reimbursement request filed by Evelyn Reed and every accusation she made against residents. The dates line up. Every time something goes missing, she files a reimbursement and blames someone else. Tom squinted at the boards. I do not follow, he said. I pointed to the August entry. Gate fobs went missing mid-August, I said. Evelyn filed a reimbursement for 5 replacement fobs on August 20th, but the inventory log shows 15 fobs missing. Where are the other 10? And why did she accuse me of stealing them when she was the one who had access to the storage closet? Evelyn was turning red. This is defamation, she said. You are twisting facts to make me look bad. I pulled out a stack of the wallet-sized timelines and started handing them to residents. These are copies, I said. You can verify every date and every document in the HOA records. If I am wrong, show me where. Tom took one of the timelines and studied it. He looked at the property manager. Is this accurate? He asked. The property manager looked uncomfortable. I cannot confirm without reviewing the records myself, he said, but the dates appear to match what is in the file. Evelyn grabbed her thermal printer and loaded a roll of paper. She printed something and held it up. This is a violation notice for disrupting a board meeting, she said. You are being fined $500 and you are banned from future meetings. Tom looked at her. Evelyn, "Sit down," he said. "We need to review this." She did not sit. "I will escalate this immediately," she said. "This is an attack on the board, and I will not tolerate it." Joe the contractor stood up from the back of the room. "I have something to add," he said. "Evelyn tried to pressure me into signing a false statement saying I saw this guy stealing packages. I refused, and she threatened to cancel our contract. I have text messages proving it." Evelyn pointed at him. "You are lying," she said. He held up his phone. "I will send the screenshots to the board right now," he said. Tom held up his hand. "Everyone stop," he said. "This is getting out of control. Evelyn, you are going to need to step out while we discuss this." She stared at him. "You cannot remove me," she said. "I am the board secretary." Tom looked at the other board members. They nodded. "Evelyn, you are being asked to leave temporarily so we can review these allegations without conflict of interest," he said. "If you refuse, I will call the police and have you removed for disrupting the meeting." Evelyn grabbed her clipboard and her thermal printer and stormed out. She slammed the door so hard the frame shook. Tom looked at me. "I need copies of everything you just presented," he said. I handed him my evidence binder. "This is every document, every receipt, every invoice, every meeting minute, and every screenshot," I said. "I also filed a police report this week. The incident number is in the front." Tom flipped through the binder. "Jesus," he said. "How long did this take you?" 2 weeks, I said. "And about $400 in filing fees, copy costs, and legal consults." He nodded. "We will review this and get back to you," he said. "In the meantime, your ban is lifted effective immediately. If Evelyn tries to enforce it, call me directly." The meeting wrapped up, and half the residents came up to me afterward. Some apologized for believing the neighborhood chat posts. Some asked for copies of the timeline. Marco clapped me on the back. "You just nuked her entire operation," he said. I did not feel victorious yet. I felt exhausted. The next morning, I got a call from Tom. "The board held an emergency session last night," he said. "We voted to suspend Evelyn from all board duties pending a full audit. We also contacted the management company and requested an independent review of the financial records. If the audit confirms what you found, we will be terminating her membership and pursuing legal action." I asked what that meant for me. "Your name is cleared," he said. "We will be sending a formal apology letter and a notice to all residents retracting the accusations. We are also going to update the records request policy so this does not happen again." 2 days later, the management company sent a letter to all residents. It was short and direct. "The board has completed a preliminary review of recent financial discrepancies and has suspended board secretary Evelyn Reed, pending a full investigation. All allegations against resident regarding theft or misconduct have been withdrawn. The association apologizes for any inconvenience or harm caused by this matter. Residents with concerns should contact the property manager directly." The neighborhood chat erupted. People started posting apologies and questions. Evelyn posted one final message. "This is a witch hunt," she wrote. "I have done nothing wrong, and I will be pursuing legal action against everyone involved." You have not heard the last of this. Then she left the chat. The police investigation took another 3 weeks, but in the end they charged Evelyn with theft and fraud. The audit found she had stolen over $2,000 in petty cash, supplies, and reimbursements over the course of a year. She had also deleted records from the resident portal to cover her tracks, but the management company IT department recovered the audit log and found her fingerprints all over it. The HOA management company locked her out of admin access and flagged her account across all their properties. The association filed a civil suit to recover the stolen funds and legal costs. Karen's attempt to intimidate a neighbor backfired, and the neighbor reported it. Joe the contractor forwarded his text messages to the board, and 3 other vendors came forward, saying Evelyn had pressured them to lie or alter invoices. The HOA's vendor demanded proper documentation and stopped taking Karen's calls. The tow company she had tried to weaponize against residents refused to work with Cedar Springs unless all authorizations went through the property manager directly. I handed out a side-by-side timeline I printed in front of everyone at the next board meeting, and the rumor died in real time as people watched the proof. Evelyn tried to show up at the meeting to defend herself, but Tom told her she was no longer welcome on HOA property, and if she did not leave, he would call the police. She left. I never saw her again. The board elected a new secretary and implemented new financial controls. Every reimbursement now requires 2 signatures and a scanned receipt. The resident portal was audited and cleaned up. The management company issued a formal apology and waived my HOA dues for 6 months as compensation for the harassment and legal costs. I kept the evidence binder on my bookshelf as a reminder. Marco still jokes that I turned into an HOA detective. Joe the contractor sends me a text every few months with updates on other HOA drama he has seen. I still live in Cedar Springs, and I still go to board meetings occasionally. But now people actually listen when I ask questions. The best part? About 2 months after everything went down, I got a check in the mail from the HOA's insurance company. It was a settlement for defamation and emotional distress, $1,500. I framed the letter and hung it next to my evidence binder. Evelyn's case went to court, and she pled guilty to avoid jail time. She got probation, community service, and a restitution order. She also got banned from serving on any HOA board in Washington state for 10 years. The last I heard, she moved out of Spokane entirely. I still check the neighborhood chat sometimes, but it is boring now. People post about lost cats and yard sale announcements. No more accusations, no more drama, just a normal HOA doing normal things. And honestly, I will take boring over insane any day. Until the next HOA story, take care, and I will see you soon.